trails are the #1 most preferred piece of environmental infrastructure out there. In new housing developments, it's not swimming pools, it's not golf courses. People will pay a premium of up to 10 to 15% additional for access to trails. People love to go out their back doors and hit a trail where they can either ride their mountain bike or walk and really have a unique experience right at their back door. And it's a primary means for residents and visitors alike to connect to the landscape. We share. The tourism business in Mendocino County means we share our resources with people from all over the planet because our resources are world class. And trail users purchase gear locally. Believe me, they do. They forget things. You think about yourselves on some vacation. You always forget something and you need something locally of high quality. And what do people do, both residents and visitors? They do all of these things. This is a plein air painting here. I showed you a transforming experience earlier at one of those weddings. People go surfing. They take photographs of wildflowers. They do all of this. I know people in our community who want that moment of solitude at the end of the workday, and they go south of Fort Bragg and go out to Belinda Point and sit down at the point and simply lose themselves in the grandeur. People watch sunsets at Navarro Point. You should see the parking lot fill up at sunset at Navarro Point just to watch the show. And it's the beauty of nature. So if we're going to get into nature-based tourism, which is probably the bridge economy in our county between the extraction economy and the restoration economy, it's environmental tourism, and it's responsible travel is the key phrase to natural areas to enjoy, appreciate, and to look at areas that have, in a way that can promote conservation, have low visitor impact, and be beneficial to the local economy. And land conservation is a long-term investment. We joke that we're in perpetuity organizations and that's a long time. And land conservation does result in increased property values, recreation activities, that's what we've been talking about today, increased economic activity. We put money back into the community through everything that we do. On that list of how to open and offer to dedicate easement, we definitely hire as many local people as we possibly can to do those type of things. Tourism, the natural beauty of the county is the backbone of the economy. Parks and protected areas are the primary things that attract people to our county, and they definitely enhance our quality of life. So, thank you for the time. But I wanted to give you an overview of what we're all doing, not just the Mendocino Land Trust, although we are taking a lead in this through our coastal trail work, but also the other smaller organizations who are definitely connected to those special places.
To the board. Concerns, questions?
Yes.
Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe you could just mention briefly the role that you recently played with the Nature Tourism Coalition and how that's moving on to EDFC, Economic Development and Financing Corporation, so you're sort of shifting over to that, and I think that shows that there's an economic engine component to this, and you've played a role and now it's moving to another entity. So maybe just a few brief comments on that.
Yes, and I want to thank you all for passing a resolution I guess it was April, trying to connect children and nature. There's a book called Last Child in the Woods that talks about nature deficit disorder. In other words, kids are sitting in front of video games to such an extent that they never get out. And we've seen this more clearly with urban kids coming to our area and being scared of the wilderness. And so we need to bridge that, and have been trying to do that, and thank you for passing the resolution. But there are some great stories in our county of reconnecting kids locally and from the Bay Area back to stewardship. For instance, we hosted a group from the Marin Academy. A dozen kids came from Marin Academy to do service learning, a requirement of their education at Big River. and they pulled out invasive species of plants. So some of this service learning is actually, there's a new branch of tourism called volotourism. People of the boomer generation want to get back and pay back to the environment and will take volunteer opportunities as part of their vacations. What Supervisor Smith was saying is the Mendocino Land Trust acted as fiduciary for the last year for the Nature Tourism Coalition. And it's an economic development coalition and environmental protection coalition all at the same time to basically identify nature-based tourism sites countywide. The majority of them are actually in Supervisor Pinch's district. There's more access and sites for people to enjoy, although we would like to make their experience one that they can come back to. We have a very little amount of the Yola Boli wilderness in our county, but we have all the access trails to the wilderness. There's 117,000 acres of wilderness, federal wilderness in this county, which is extraordinary. There's a lot of people who can really enjoy the natural beauty inland and on the coast of our county. So we tried to support the coalition for a year. Unfortunately,